Hi, my name is Jemai, and this is my freedom story. I grew up in church my whole life. My mom is a pastor, my dad was a pastor too. And I knew of Christ, but I didn't have a relationship with him until I was like, I would say 15. So my whole life has been like doing church stuff, but I didn't know God. And I think it reaches a point in your life where you realize like you can't play church anymore. You have to actually experience God for yourself, not through your parents and through the legacy of your parents. So like that's when I think things change, because I recognize God. And the reason why I never encountered God, because I had so many expectations that I could never reach. And it reached a point where I was just like, either I'm to please God or the people around me. And like I had to stop pretending. And like I remember my mom used to tell me every single day comes home and she's like, what did you read today in the Bible? And I used to come up with like the cheesiest Bible verses, like Jesus wept. And one time I gave her that answer, and she's like, what does that even mean? And I was like, I don't know, Jesus cried. Like I just didn't know about God. It was just more like a check off list, until when I was about 15. It was like 10 days before my birthday. So like I didn't grow up speaking English, so I grew up just like speaking my language or whatever. And the option was to either go to my cousins who speak English or stay home and wait for my mom. And I was just like, okay, I don't want to hang out with people that speak English, so I'll just stay home by myself and wait for my mom. So my mom was going to night prayer, and then I stayed home. But in the middle of that time, like it was like probably like 2 a.m. And then I was like, oh, mom is back. So like someone was in the house, but I thought it was my mom. And then I was waiting for my mom. My mom wouldn't respond. I was like, oh, why is she not responding? Turn around, and it was like this huge guy. And I was just like, wait, what's going on? And then I was like, before I even recognized his face, he started choking me and like pushing me down like my pillow, and like started choking me, and I couldn't breathe. And like I'm like pretty strong, but like for a 15-year-old with a probably 30-year-old person, you can't be strong for that. And I just felt like I couldn't breathe. Like, and then like, I just gave up on fighting, because I couldn't do it. And I was just like, Jesus, please, I'm not ready. And the reason why I say that, because I looked at my whole life and realized like I could die like this. I could be remembered as a bully. I could be remembered as a bad daughter, because I was so mean to my sisters, and I could be remembered of all those stuff. And there's so many secrets that I had lived and I had. And like I looked at my life and I was like, it wasn't worth writing about or remembering. And I was just like, please, Jesus, save me. And that moment, like I had to give up fighting and like letting God like take control of that situation. And like somehow, like between, I don't know, a span of like 2 minutes of not breathing, like I found the strength to kick this guy off me and like just start fighting for my life. And like I think it was that moment of just surrendering my power, because I thought I could do it on my own, but I couldn't. And like it was in that moment between where I was just like, wow, I can actually like surrender this to God and just be okay. And like I started fighting. The guy who ran away took all the stuff, which was totally kind, but one thing he didn't take, it was my life. And like I am forever grateful. And I remember turning 16 that year. It was like 10 days after I turned 16. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't have made it to my birthday. And it was such a surreal moment for me, because I was just like, in that moment I recognized that God actually answers prayer. Now like I look at life and I'm like, your legacy is way more important than what people want to, I don't know, what people have expectations of you. Like you can't live your life for other people, but you can live your life for God. And the way you do that is just like leaning into that more and like actually experiencing God for yourself. Fighting, like I was learning about like Kung Fu or whatever. Apparently like in order for you to actually conquer your opponent, you have to let go. And like when someone's holding you like this, you have to actually let go of like trying to break free, and then you break free, because you've let go of fighting, and then he's just like thinking you're giving up. But the reality is like you're surrendering to God and just saying, God, I can't do it right now, and it's you. It's in letting go that we find freedom. And so I think for me, my whole life, I think God has been like just real and just being a constant and just being like, hey, you can do it by yourself, but I'm always there. And like trusting that more instead of yourself. And yeah, it works out. Awesome stuff.
You